welcome Minister Sikorski, Senator McCain, Ambassador Kupiecki, Senator Hagel, members of the Board of the Atlantic Council, ladies and gentlemen, and Senator McCain, welcome back from 12 days in the Middle East. I know you arrived back last evening, and it's great to have you with us here with Minister Sikorski. I'm Fred Kempe. I'm President and CEO of the Atlantic Council. Before I pass the podium to Ambassador Kupiecki, our partner in this important initiative, and then to Senator Hagel, our chairman, who will introduce the two speakers and provide some initial reflections, let me just say a few words about this second Bronislaw Geremek lecture. Minister Sikorski and Ambassador Kupiecki, please allow me to depart from protocol some 30 years after the birth of the Solidarity movement to thank Poland. The courage, vision, and resilience of the Polish people served to change the history of Europe and the world. We all owe you a great deal, and we have learned from your experience, sometimes not enough. It was in that context that we launched this lecture series. As you know, Professor Bronislaw Geremek was a legendary leader of the Solidarity movement, a former Polish Minister of Foreign Affairs, who was an architect and founding father of a modern and democratic Poland and Europe. But for me, he was also a personal inspiration, a mentor, and over time, a friend. Much of what I learned about freedom and the sacrifices it requires, I learned from him during long conversations in Gdansk, in his attic apartment in Old Town Warsaw, and later in Vilnius, Brussels, and elsewhere. What he said of democratic change applies as much today in Egypt's Tahrir Square as it did in the Gdansk shipyards of his time. He said, quote, "The core of the great Solidarity movement was the dream of freedom of democracy, understood as in the innate right of every human being to decide his or her own fate and to share responsibility for the fate of the nation." His view, as he expressed it to me, was that solidarity gained its power because it was much more than a rebellion against a constraining system. It was also a positive force shaping a new reality. Poles, he told me, not only knew what they were rejecting, they also knew what they wanted. So, the Bronislaw Geremek Lecture, launched in 2009 in partnership with the government of Poland, honors an extraordinary man in life. With it, we hope to carry on the heritage of this outstanding statesman and diplomat. The inaugural lecture was delivered by former Secretary of State and a friend of Professor Geremek, Dr. Madeleine K. Albright. She said then of Professor Geremek, quote, "Whenever we are lulled by complacency, we can hear his quiet voice urging us in a cultured Polish accent to wake up and start moving because the job of defending freedom is never done." He would be enormously pleased that two such great democracy heroes, and I am economical with the use of that term, would be honoring him tonight with their lectures. I'm only sorry we can't hear his own views on what connects and separates the events of the Middle East now and Central Europe then. Different places, different context, certainly, but the same universal yearning for human dignity. At the Atlantic Council, our stated mission is to renew the Atlantic community for global challenges, and I can imagine no greater challenge than those facing us across the Middle East at a time when setbacks in Belarus remind us that we have also fallen short in our dreams for a Europe whole and free. With that, let me express my gratitude to Minister Sikorski and to Ambassador Kupiecki and the Polish government for supporting this lecture series. We also look forward to working with you and your ministry to ensure the success of our new initiative in partnership with the city of Wrocław, the Wrocław Global Forum. Let me also tip the hat to Ambassador Lee Feinstein, who has been a very active and terrific partner in this initiative. This will happen in June. We'll also hold our annual and third annual Freedom Awards in Wrocław, where we will recognize champions of freedom past and present from the Vistula to the Nile. I think it's fitting that the Atlantic Council has decided to move its Freedom Awards to Wrocław to be in conjunction with that annual conference. So with that, it is my honor to pass to Ambassador Robert Kupiecki, ambassador who serves a great country with great distinction in Washington.